Just two guys here at the SEC Media Days. That's Dalton Hughes. I am David Nuno. This is TexAgs Rewind. We are presented by T-Mobile. They want you to visit T-Mobile.com/across America to learn how you get more value and coverage through
T-Mobile.
Thank you. Were you doing the Puppet Master thing?
A little bit.
A little bit?
A little bit.
Having fun today?
It's a good day. It's the first day being here at Media Days. I'm probably a little delirious from that travel day. I know you're a little tired too. But
I'm super tired.
I'm kind of hungry. I think we need to go get some lunch.
We haven't eaten today.
We haven't.
It's about time to eat.
I've had one glass of water.
I've had one glass of water and one coffee. And I'm tired. At the bottom, but you guys don't care about being tired. What you care about is football coverage.
Yeah.
What did we do during the go hour? Do you remember?
I know we talked about the travel day. We talked about snoozing.
We did talk about snoozing. We did. I talked to Olin on the show. That's for sure.
That did happen.
That did happen.
We set the scene for SEC Media Days.
Yes, we did.
Then I know we heard from Matt Moscona. We talked about LSU. It is LSU Day here at SEC Media Days.
Well, it's LSU, Ole Miss, and Missouri Day, which means it's LSU Day.
It's LSU Day.
Well, actually, more important than LSU is the gentleman who's talking right behind us as we speak. His name is?
Greg Sankey.
I call him Gregory.
The commissioner of the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, he is talking in the background. We didn't have him on the show yet, but we're working on it. We did have our good friend Tom Hart without a delay on Zoom. I like talking to Tom in person because he's funny and I don't mess up his jokes. That's part of it.
They keep showing this clip of Ryan Tannehill throwing a pass to Ryan Swope, and it's pretty distracting.
It is a little distracting. We also had Ross Dellenger, who was supposed to meet us here at SEC Media Days, but he was on a mobile. I think it was a pretty good show overall.
Yeah, we did great. You did great. I didn't do anything. You did great.
This is how I say, well, you did great too.
Watch the rewind.
Yeah, just do it. OB, we could talk about this for hours, or we can talk about it for a few seconds. So I'll make it easy. Number 3 on my list is the #1 recruiting class of all time. And we can look at this in parts. As it's happening, this might happen.
Yeah.
You're like,
if he told us it might.
Yeah, he told us early. This might happen. It might happen. The day of, it's happening. And then there's when is this guy going to sign? And when is this guy? Hold on. And then they sign, and it's the greatest recruiting class ever.
Yeah, and you know what? There were two things that made it so, I don't even just want to say, made it so amazing. Is first of all, you're looking at the accumulation of talent.
Yep.
And you're thinking, what could this do for this program in the future? How many wins are they accumulating through these guys? But on the other part that I thought was just as sexy was all the people in the country being pissed off about it.
Yes, they were.
So not only were you getting the girl, but you were stealing it from the guy that, always supposed to have her.
Right.
And it was beautiful to not only be accumulating talent, but then be the bad guy that everybody's pissed off at. I loved that.
Do you remember where you were or what you were doing when you realized this is going to happen? Because I'm going to tell you when it kind of hit me. Now, the best ever, I didn't know that until we got closer. But I'm going to take you back to what game? Was that the Alabama game?
Auburn.
That Walter Nolan
Auburn.
and
Auburn.
Bobby Taylor showed up? It was the Alabama game.
That they showed up, yeah.
So I was doing the post-game wrap, okay? And Bronny walks by, and you can see through the glass, there's Walter Nolan. There's Bobby Taylor. And they opened the door, and Bronny's like, you can go on the show with them. And they popped on the show. And at that point, we weren't sure how for real Walter Nolan was. You could tell this guy was all in. Bobby was all in. He had been all in, but he was working Walter. And Walter came in, and they did the post-game wrap with us for a while. It was just, I knew then, all right, this is something special. Beyond the Alabama victory, capturing that moment that we had at TexAgs, to me, was like, I'm seeing it happen right now.
Well, I was saying Auburn because I remember asking Jimbo what, win like that could do for recruiting. And he said, well, have you heard what's going on? I said, well, yeah. And he said, well, just watch and see. And at that point, even though they had the commitment, I don't know if they were if they were the #1 class yet.
Right.
But they just kept building. And think about this. Not only did they have the #1 class on signing day, but then they added to it later.
It did.
So it's like, I don't know it's like you just went to a 5-star meal or whatever, gourmet meal, and you're getting ready to leave. And somebody, oh no, hey, here's some for the road. Take this too. It was, it was so much it was so much fun, and it was, and you see about all the defensive linemen and offensive linemen, the receivers, everything you need. You got everything you need. Maybe you would have liked to have had another offensive lineman or two, but it was just this spectacular accumulation of talent, and to get that while the Sabins are whining about it, and other teams across the country are whining about it, and some just 90 miles away from us are whining about it. I loved it.
I loved it.
I like being the bad guy.
How has the transition with Brian Kelly gone from what he's trying to implement, getting through some of those early day, I would say, hiccups that it looked, at least from afar?
The accent and the dancing thing got played a lot nationally. Locally, nobody really cared. It's I understand why all those things became storylines, but from an internal like LSU perspective, people just want to win again.
Yeah.
I mean, LSU has had the greatest 20-year run in the history of the program. They've won 3 national titles, played for a 4th. It's just the program has never had that amount of continued sustained elite success. And so when you have back-to-back 500 seasons, it's unsettling because you get comfortable in feeling like it's just always going to be 9-3, 10-2, competing for championships, whatever, and then you get a little bit of a sobering reality check. So I think mostly what the narrative has been around Baton Rouge. Okay, how is Brian Kelly rebuilding a championship culture? How are the changes he made on the roster and on his staff? How are those taking hold? Do they have a chance of actually being good this year, or is it going to take time? Those are the things that people are focusing more on than I know the family thing and the dancing with the recruit and all, but you are never short for storylines when you're talking about Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame, coming to LSU. It's a really interesting thing.
So how close is LSU? Because they've had a lot of transition, obviously, and you head coach takes some time, but it's a different world now with transfer window. I mean, are they a team that is better than 500 this year? Can they compete in the West?
Yeah. Okay. Those are two different questions.
Right.
They're better than 500. I don't think they can compete in the West. I think the best comp I could give is maybe. Did you pay attention to Michigan State last year at all?
Sure.
So Mel Tucker kind of had a similar situation where he went in and I think brought in like 20-something transfers. Brian Kelly did the same thing out of necessity. When LSU played the Texas Bowl against Kansas State, you probably didn't watch that game because why would you watch the Texas Bowl with LSU?
But it was so
Kansas
intriguing,
State?
though.
But it was LSU had 39 scholarship players for that game. 39. They had a receiver playing quarterback. Ed Ogeron left a mess. There was no roster management. The numbers were low. It was just a disaster. So Brian Kelly had to come in and immediately supplement this roster with guys who had played college football to basically bandage it together for this year.
Right.
So they added 15 transfers, but all of them have played at the major college level and played a lot. The question for LSU this year is, okay, you got all these new parts. How do they work together, and how quickly can it come together?
The thing about the Big 12 is every few years we think they're done. They're done. It's over. Yet here they are today feeling pretty good with their new commissioner, and they look like they want to expand. For the SEC, do you think, even though they're saying it's going to be 16 teams for now, do you see 2, 3 teams, 4 teams in the next year or two?
I did not bring it with me, and I'm kicking myself. I'll have it tomorrow. I have sitting on my printer at home the ACC Grant of Rights contract.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. They're out there. You can find them. I think Andy Staples had them in one of his articles this summer in The Athletic. A guy did a story, or he actually did a paper when he was in college for his graduate thesis on conference expansion. So he has all the contracts. The contracts are out there, and they're visible. What is on paper says, well, no, it would cost North Carolina or Clemson or Florida State $500 million to get out of it. It's $30-something million a year for the next 14 years. They just don't have a war chest sitting there with that much money. So that seems implausible. But we're not lawyers, and we're not in those meetings. We don't know how they can manipulate that and pull out what can be pulled out of it.
Right.
And if there's a crack, the high-priced lawyers are going to find it, and then the SEC has room to expand. If there's no crack, if there's no fissure within the ACC that the lawyers can find wiggle room to pull a Clemson or a Florida State or even Notre Dame that has a contract of grant of rights with the ACC, who is there to add? What is there to add? I always thought Oklahoma would move in step with Oklahoma State. That didn't happen. So then why would it happen going forward? Why would you add another family member to the table if they're not bringing more to the table than what's already there? That doesn't seem to make sense unless you're just in the business of collecting schools for growth and just expanding your footprint.
So what about the Arizona schools? Do they make sense because of if the Big Ten is trying to monopolize the upper West Coast and does Arizona State make sense?
I think that they only make sense if you're out there collecting schools. I mean, the population base, ignore people who talk about, television markets going forward. It's really the interest level of your fan base, the size of your fan base and how interested they are in watching you. And then on the periphery, how interesting you are to fans nationally, right? Because we are getting away from paying cable bills, right? We are now getting to the point where you buy subscriptions. So would you are there enough people out there that would buy a subscription to watch Arizona State football that would make them worthwhile of sharing the TV money? And I don't think that answer is yes right now. And I don't think if you're talking about adding households to your television network, that Arizona represents a sizable enough population base to where that's an important move. So I don't know. But then again, nobody knows because nobody saw USC and UCLA going. Sure. You almost have to suspend your imagination. We are creatures of our own limitations when it comes to our imagination. So many things we do in life. Nobody could have imagined USC, UCLA, so no one thought about it outside of Kevin Warren in the Big Ten. As soon as Texas and Oklahoma announced their decision, he said, all right, let's go get LA. And kudos to them.
Ross, you got a few teams going today, LSU, Missouri, and Ole Miss. Sounds like an easy question, but I'll ask it out loud. Who's going to have the better 2022 on the football field?
I'd probably say Ole Miss. I never sleep on Lane, right? When he has a quarterback, they got Jackson Dart, and it should be interesting to see what he does with Jackson. Lane is obviously have a history of amassing a lot of points and yards, and they obviously coming off a great year last season, although they lost a lot. He has filled a lot of holes through the transfer portal, so that's kind of their method. And it's one we'll probably see more and more of during college sports. So I'd probably say Ole Miss. Although don't sleep on the Tigers. The LSU Tigers. They got a lot of guys from the transfer portal as well, and they filled a lot of holes there.
And what about A&M? How good of a season can they have? Everybody points to the inexperience on defense, but a lot of talent, and obviously the big storyline, the quarterback position. How do you see their 2022 playing out?
Yeah, I think it's his Jimbo's, is it year 4 or year 5?
Year 5.
And you would point to when a new coach takes over. A lot of times you point to year 4 or 5, right? As the year you have all everybody in your program and guys that you recruited and signed, and so this feels like a big year for him. Not that he's on the hot seat or anything, obviously, but it just feels like a big year that it's all maybe kind of built for this. I know, as you mentioned, there's questions at quarterback. That there's a battle there. I know they got that the kid from LSU, right? Who's Matt? Is it Matt? It's Max, right?
It's
Max
Johnson.
Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and covering LSU as long as I did, I remember actually was at that Florida LSU game, the shoe game, a couple of years ago. And Max started that game in the swamp and led an LSU team that was like 5-5 or something that year to a big win, and it was impressive. I think he was a freshman then, so kid's got some game, and obviously he's got the pedigree with the dad and with Brad Johnson and all. So that should be interesting to watch. It's one of the biggest, I guess, quarterback kind of competitions I would think of fall camp around the nation.
3-2 and oh no.
Do I sound like a certain broadcaster I've told you about?
Yeah, maybe a little bit sometimes. I think when you do your intro,
my 3-2-1 or my first line of a thing?
Yes.
Which one? Both? All right, so let's. I'm gonna show you folks my 3, 2, 1. You tell me what you think. Ready? Here we go. 3. I'm trying to do it like not. I'm just gonna do it the way I do it. 3, 2, and 1. Well, hey everybody, it's TexAgs Rewind, and we're gonna close out the show because what are they supposed to do? See, I do sound like an announcer.
Yeah. Like,
dug it.
comment, subscribe. Tell us who you want to hear from tomorrow. Tell us a guest we should try to book. No promises, but we'll try.
If they're walking by, Dalton is really good at being a stalker. He's very. But can I give you one last compliment for those who are still watching? Everybody freaking knows Dalton. Yesterday, I have not met Cole Kubelik ever. Doesn't know me. Walks right by. Super nice. He sees Dalton. Dalton, what's up? Hugs, chatting. Like Richard and I, Jamie are just sitting there. Doo-doo-doo. Everybody likes you.
It's how I feel around Billy most of the time.
Well, this is true. Thanks for watching.
See you.